If we can identify certain parts of your body that are aging faster or not keeping up with health as much as others, then we can be a lot more precise in targeting what we want to do. Up until now, generally, people say, well, here's a multivitamin, here's this vitamin, I think this is good for you to do. And they might be, but we might be overdoing things. We might be taking a lot of things that aren't necessary. And now when we look at these certain things, we can be a lot more precise. We can say, look, your neurologic system is being affected by such and such, and you are low in this type of element, and we can replace that. Not really replace it, we can encourage your body to do it again. There are a couple of really good examples that I can use, and a lot of it has to do with the aging or the health of each one of your organ systems. When I talk about age, the reason to talk about age is because age really is the #1 risk factor for, I'm not talking about a common cold or something like that. Mostly we're talking about the chronic diseases that end up causing big major problems in life, and literally they set in later in life. Except for a few unfortunate circumstances, we are all born with a genetic code that is perfectly normal for a long, healthy life. The current research over the past 10 years has been moving very quickly and been exposing that the lifestyle things that we can do have such an impact on our health outcomes. And it's not really our genes that create our health outcomes, it's what we do to them. That's where lifestyle interventions play a big role. And some of that is part of what we'll do as far as programs in here. And that is the beauty of that, is that everybody can do healthy lifestyle interventions. When we talk about organ systems and how fast they age, the best example I have is the cadaver that I dissected while I was in school. That was a 95-year-old woman who had lungs that were perfect. They were as if they were brand new. They felt and looked brand new. What does that mean? That means that her lungs rated for 95 years effectively over and over and over. They could have kept regenerating for longer. She had other disease in her body, and other cadavers in the lab, they had terrible diseased lungs and other organs that were perfectly healthy. What does all that mean? That means that literally our bodies are constantly regenerating. And if we can identify which organ systems are not regenerating well enough, we can, again, be precise in how we address that. And that's what's really exciting about the technology and the testing these days. When we're measuring biological age, we're measuring it on DNA, and that's DNA expression. It's the expression of our genes. And we can see all these different organ systems, and we can go through those tests and we get a lot of information about what to do about it. I want to talk a little bit now. We're going to go over a bunch of different topics in these webinars. So if you have specific questions, feel free to ask questions, but we're going to cover other details about epigenetics and about cell signaling in future webinars, because this is really important for as many people to understand as we can. But I do want to talk a little bit about cell signaling, because this is where, this is kind of the foundation of how we turn genes on and off and how we actually heal or don't heal. Some of you who know me and have been in here and I've talked to a lot, you know how I've talked about these things, but what I like to express is we have kind of two different states. And we have a state of being where my body is actually going to heal and repair and regenerate and fight infections and do everything that it needs to do. And then we have another state, and that is a stressed state. And what is stress for? Stress is literally for running away from that bear. It's for sending blood and energy to your muscles. Because if you're battling a bacterial infection, or if you have a skin lesion that your body is trying to heal, it's not focusing energy on that. It's saying, who cares about that? I've got to run away from this bear. When we live in a constant state of stress and we fail to ever resolve that stress cycle, we can't regenerate, we can't heal, we can't repair, we can't fight infections, we can't do any of the healing and regenerating that we really need to do. There are multiple components of this, but it's cell signaling that actually creates the environment for us to actually heal and regenerate and repair. When I talk about that, each one of these programs, each one of these aspects in the programs that we've established will help improve cell signaling. And this is a really exciting thing because we've been able to see changes on biological age tests. We also measure a bunch of aging biomarkers, things that we know change as we age, and then we can encourage your body through various pathways to restore function of those. I'm going to share my screen for a second, and we're going to look quickly at these packages and just go quickly through what they look like. Give me just a second. I don't have that up yet. There we are. All right. All right. And some of you might have been on my website already, BIOLYFE'S.com, and you can see some of these things. But in these membership packages, like Brian introduced, we want you to be able to look at these and say, okay, we can customize things a little bit for each individual based on need. But each one of these things that we're doing is actually making your body be able to regenerate and heal better than it could before. And that's especially when we use regenerative biological injections or infusions. The regenerative biologics that we use, we have a couple of different options really that we use, but they are all acellular products that have no DNA or antigens in them. And that means they don't get rejected by your body. They're either your own body tissue or there's some placental tissues that we can use that really regenerate tissues in your body. When we can put in infusions of this tissue, it has a large amount of growth factors that can build every tissue in your body. It is literally restoring cell signaling back to where it used to be when we were younger. When we talk about those types of infusions, we would customize what somebody might need. These true age tests are our biological age tests. The aging provider panel is, those are things that change as we age. And we want to be able to know what those are, and some things we can do something about, some things we just want to track. Body composition is very important. We will eventually have hyperbaric oxygen therapy, which is HBOT here. We don't have that in yet. I'm excited to get that in. That's going to be a very effective therapy for people. We have our whole, people who know me and have seen me before understand that I'm really interested in exercise and movement. There are a couple of really fun sayings around this, but literally, if you stop moving, you start dying. It is that simple. When we don't move and we can't exercise and we can't move around because of physical injuries or orthopedic problems, our body goes downhill, every aspect of it. And so we will always be focused heavily on the physical medicine aspect of our bodies in order to be able to maintain health. Every study that comes out seems to reiterate the fact that exercise and movement plays a bigger role in our health outcome than any other thing at all. If everything that we can do, if every single piece, if it's supplements, if it's sleep, if it's stress management, if it's medications, if it's any other these types of things, nutrition, those all equal 50%. The rest of the 50% of your health outcome is exercise and movement. It's that important. And then every one of these therapies, like I said, we'll talk about different therapies as we move along in future webinars to highlight specific things. But that's what the whole purpose is. And when we apply these things, when we have a little bit of control over what we're doing, then we can see a reduction in biological age. And that's so exciting, because why do you want to reduce your biological age? As I said in the beginning, age is the #1 risk factor for diseases. When I don't want to come across as too morbid for any of these things, but when you look at people, and 20-year-olds don't have a high rate of cancer, they just don't really get cancer. 75-year-olds often have cancer. Why? It's literally their age and these biomarkers that I'm talking about that change in their bodies that cause their genes to be able to turn on and cause cancer. When we can reduce our biological age, our risk of disease is significantly lower. And it's so exciting to be able to measure that and to be able to have an impact and effect on that. I don't want to go too long here. Hopefully this has been an informative introduction to BioLife and our new approach. I am going to invite anybody who's interested to have a consultation with myself. Brian will be organizing everything from a patient experience standpoint. And let's see if there's anything that I really missed. I'm going to be highlighting these regenerative biologics, the exosomes that we use in future webinars, and get a little more specific in those. But we wanted to kind of introduce everything today and let everybody get a little taste of what we're talking about and what we're overall doing here. We've built out a beautiful new office, and we have space to perform all the procedures and do all the treatments and everything that that is necessary. And I would love for everybody to come and see it. We will have some sort of an open house eventually. And I'm going to pass this back off to Brian, and we'll answer some questions that have been sent in. And thank you again, everybody, for joining our first webinar for BioLife. And we hope to see everybody on future webinars.